Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go. It's High Gear Friday in the Grit and Gravitas podcast studio. Savvy Spirited Stories of Success. Annie Carnathan, how are you?
Never better. I stole that from my son, our son.
We have lots of podcast love in the studio.
Give me an hour longer and I'll say never better. Right? That's just, I'm working on it minute by minute.
Yes.
Fabulous.
So these are, to our listeners, you recall, these launch every other Tuesday to a month. We record on Friday, so we love to end our week with an exclamation point. And we do it every time, and every guest, and today's is no exception. We already say we have to have them back.
Best day ever. And so Laurie Lourie, we're going to get right to it. The executive vice president of the York Builders Association. So the world's going to hear builders and go, ooh, talk about male dominated.
Yes.
And so we're savvy, spirited stories of success. Laurie checks every single box.
Yay.
Mad respect, admiration, incredible what you've accomplished, as a powerhouse leader, period, right? Yep. Not even to qualify, especially for a woman in that industry. So take us back because, we talked about this coming on the show at lunch and you immediately go into when you were in your 20s.
Oh, yes, back then.
Yeah, right? Breaking into
good old days.
This, right? So take us back to, did you think you were going to do this? How did that happen? And a little bit of the struggle you had and what women can learn from that.
Well, I honestly didn't think I was going to go into this. I wouldn't know a 2x4 by a 4x6. And so no, but I did. I have to say back in the younger years, it was very male dominated, but it has definitely changed.
Good news. That's good news.
When I first came on, I was with the Builders Association in Wayne County, Pennsylvania. We had 34 members. The board of directors were all men, older men. Basically when I came to York, they had a few women on the board, but now we're about 50-50 on women and men. So
how did the Wayne County job happen, Laurie?
I just happened to be working for a builder. Then I started a family, wanted to work from home, and this gave me that opportunity. We had 34 members and grew to about 200 members when I left.
Word.
So I've been in York now for about 7.5 years.
So when you are breaking into that, what were some of the immediate obstacles?
Trust.
Headwinds.
Yes.
Good.
It's to gain trust. You have to go in very confident and just really earn your trust, I think, and respect. And I have to say it was very easy, especially here in York. It was super easy. I had already established my career, but you still have to develop that trust in the community. And everyone's so welcoming, and we really have the attitude of how do we help you? And when people recognize that you're there to help and to do whatever you can to make their job easier, it just really builds that trust and that confidence.
And the essence of trust, I think, is commonality. And I try to find that in every single person. So it's not necessarily the differences because I want that also.
Right.
But that trust is, to me, we've talked about this, foundational. And so what are some of those things immediately? We want to help you, but to grow from in the first opportunity, right?
Right.
Where it was to what it was, right? That's exceptional. And so what are some of the most tangible parts, stepwise, to build that trust?
Well, I think it's listening to their needs and following through. and always being there. And just, and we kind of make a joke about it, my pet peeves, you don't return a call, or, I just believe that follow through.
That detail means a lot.
Right. And I think the way I was able to get to where I was I'm very organized, and I keep myself extremely organized. And I think that's a key to any real success, because you're juggling so many things that you have to be in order to get to the next step.
And that's really keeping your word. And that's really, here's what I say I will do, and then doing it, which sounds simple. Simple, not easy.
Well, the returning the phone call, which, when any of us talk to younger women or recent college grads, and we go through the lineup of soft skills, which is the Dale Carnegie stuff. And I said, you can't discount this. That closes deals. The soft skills, the attention, the putting down the iPhone, the returning the email, the treating the individual with respect, and just bringing grace into the conversation. Those are, you don't go to college for those skills. They're either modeled at home or in their environment that you go to school in, or the friends that you hang out with. But I have certainly found that that's some of the most important business skills to ascend to any position of leadership, is to master those soft skills.
And that's something we're trying to teach the students and the young adults coming up into the workforce. We do have at the York Builders, a Workforce Now initiative, getting students into the trades, and the soft skills are really what we need to focus on for our young adults now.
Is that innate, Laurie? Is that instinctive? How much of that already resides in you, and how much of that has to be amplified from external sources? Because we're going to get to who did you have a mentor?
Yes.
And was it a man? Was it a woman? And there's that fascinating part of how we have to know what we don't know, regardless of the packaging, if you will, that they come in. I'm bullish on, it doesn't matter male, female, any of that stuff, right? It matters how we conduct ourselves, how we do business. It matters that we show up and keep our seat at the table.
Right. And I think I definitely had a mentor. My mother was in the banking industry and a vice president of a bank before women were even in the banking industry. So my daughter's the same as I am, so I think it goes through generations. And I build my team that way. So I always go, my team, like I'll interview somebody and never ask them their skills, but I feel it in my heart and in my gut that they're the same people that are willing to help and be there. You want people that are going to show up and be there. And that's how and you met our team. They're amazing. And
you do have an amazing team. And on your team, you have a female virtually new in the workforce, in the work world. And you have someone who, to me, is very veteran, very seasoned, very extraordinary in her own right. And so how do those two mesh for you from a mentoring standpoint? And now we have 3 women, which is less than prior to COVID, right? I mean, we're all doing, it seems more with less regardless. And how does that become your mission, right? And it's a dual mission, right? It's a York Builders Association mission, and then there's your youngest team member.
Right.
So how do they mesh without becoming separate sort of projects, if you will?
And it's amazing how well they do mesh. I mean, I think you witness it. We learn from the younger, newer employee. There's so much to learn, and we're not stagnant in our beliefs or what we do. So we also help, like we all always chip in, so there's, whether we're veteran, we're new on the job, we never leave anyone out there on an island. And, we run through very stressful times with events, especially during these times. Events are extra added stress. So we don't leave one person out there, and we just I'll jump in, or, we all jump in together and get together and figure out the solution. We're problem solvers, I think. That's one thing we pride ourselves on.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Well, when she, pre-podcast, when Laurie came in, Annie, before you arrived here at global headquarters of the Gallaher Group.
Camp Hill, Pennsylvania.
She was already speaking about your contagious energy, infectious personality, the reason why she wanted to work with you. And that's, people work with people. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not buying the York Builders Association. They're buying you, Laurie. Their trust and belief in you that whatever I need, I have an immediate contact and someone who will work on my behalf and get it done.
Well, you think about it. How many organizations can you belong to as a business? You're going to want to be around people that you want to be around. I mean, you spend a lot of your business hours with people, and this is where most of your time is spent. So you want that positive energy, and you want to be in a positive environment. And, we're not going to always say we know everything, but we know where to go to get those answers. But don't tell my husband that. Got that on tape, right?
He's going to concede you know it all, right? That's how smart he is. And my point to that is, like, Anne has super young females, mad skills. And I have young females, mad skills. And I absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, want the person who's going to do the best job. Yeah. And having said that, we agree that women have different challenges. Mm-hmm. There's different ways of perceiving women. There's just a different entirety as to how they work, feel, operate. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Right. And what we're trying to do now is show, warts and all, sort of the setback comeback that we've all been through to get to the leadership position we're in. Yeah. And when we think about that, the younger group needs to understand we've made enormous sacrifices. Right. We need their fresh eyes, but we need to put them sort of in bubble wrap that when they say it, we can hear it and they're heard. And there's not, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? You don't know anything. You don't have any experience. Of course they do. Absolutely. So what are some significant setbacks when you think?
Well, I think being around strong women for a new person to come in and being young, that's tough. That's intimidating and it's hard. Scary. You want to fit in, but yet you have these women with experience. I mean, we had 3 at one time. And then we brought somebody new in, and it's like, wow, how am I going to fit in here? But you, like you said, you have to listen, and you also have to know what are they capable of? Like, you can't change somebody on their skills. You have to really put them in the right box. And you can't really change people, but you can work with what they have to bring. So I think we're open. You've been around us, and we're very open about how we feel and what we're thinking, and we love brainstorming. So I think that welcoming environment, and you are going to run into those roadblocks with confidence, so you have to help build their confidence and focus on what they do well.
Well, and that's why you surround yourself with strong women. When you started to say that, Laurie, I'm thinking the onus is really on us then as senior, if you would, women, to make sure the younger men and ladies feel that they have an open door policy to us, whether you're the highest ranking executive or not, or whether they can feel comfortable learning from you and without feeling stupid or without us being condescending, like, didn't you know that, or you should have known that. I think the workplace culture is different today than it was 2 years ago and or 20 months ago. And I think a lot of that is for the better, that there's just a much more, I want to learn from you. I don't want to be a threat to you. I don't want to feel intimidated, because we don't learn best. We don't work best if we're in that high stress mode of, I wonder how Annie's going to react to that. I really want to try something. I'm thinking she's not going to love it. And a lot of that comes down to communication.
And part of that too is me recognizing myself and saying the best thing I can possibly do for everyone right now is to just do desk work or back off a little bit. Because I get me. And at this point, there's no amount of work I'm going to do to have something land the way it should land.
Right.
And so it comes back to this age-old question that we're not going to solve, but it's a fun Rubik's Cube. You know, do you hire for attitude or do you hire for skill?
I'm a true believer on attitude, and I've done it, and it's never failed me.
Oh, good.
You know, it's the old saying, go with your gut feeling.
Yeah.
And because there's so much you can train, but can you train someone the attitude, you know, the positive, being positive and the energy. And I find too that with the younger generation coming into the workforce, you have to deal with things in the moment, which is something I need to probably learn. I try to be focused on that. You know, when you had those performance appraisal once a year, like really I got to remember a whole year. So, you know, you have to deal with situations in the moment. And I think that works best from when you're.
But that runs to me counterintuitive today for young people, and I'll just say period, right? They're used to being behind a device, and they're used to essentially communicating their way. And to Ian's point,
through a device,
right up front, and it's easy to be a keyboard assassin. If I sit and look you in the eye, that in and of itself changes the dynamic.
Absolutely.
If I do a remote podcast with Ann, I don't have the chemistry with her, and we have chemistry in infinite amounts. It's not the same.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, what I'm concerned about and what I preach is that at some point, even if you have to pick up the phone, which I think is another device that you get to hide behind, that like we have to have conversations in real time.
Right.
And how do we not change them, but make them understand to answer? People buy things from people. People are influenced by people.
I have bought things from people I didn't need because I liked the person. And I thought, you know, wow, I want to, I like their energy. I like their initiative. And I've probably bought a lot of things that just wanted to support them.
You made me feel something that I want to reciprocate. It's as simple as that.
Totally.
But operative feel, because, you know, Laurie and Ann, you both know I'm all EQ. I'm people, but I am a mad craftsman when it comes to people. And I think if we help them get what they want, you know, they're going to be. We've had employees that are phenomenal attitude, just starting out, bright as can possibly be, and they're just in the wrong chair in the wrong department.
Yep, absolutely.
So we have to be brave enough, and we have to be persuasive enough to say, we're going to just pivot this, right? Because we can teach anything.
Yeah,
and how many people coming out of college, even with a mad skill set, really understand how to apply it, how to make soft skills happen. And what you do, I think, Laurie, and it's magical to me, is you have a tremendous sense of humor. There's not anything that
so
inevitably.
Should we be pairing her with Kathy Anderson Martin? Is that what?
Oh my! And how many women? And we just sit here and we belly laugh, right? Because it is a fun half an hour. And I think that what you do, and there's this saying in sales, right? If they're smiling, they're buying. You make everything when it's through humor, say that is not going to be fatal.
No, totally, and that's a good skill to have.
But how do you have it? How does that?
Does it come natural?
I think it's just how do you have to always find some positive in it and just make it light, because if you just focus on it too much, I always say to the girls, we're not doing heart surgery today, you know, so let's, you know, we're not out there doing any heart surgery, so we could figure this out, and we just take a light approach to everything, because I just feel like we're going to be in this office a majority of your day. So we're going to enjoy
half your waking hours. That's what I say. It's a third of your life, but it's half your waking hours. And the bottom line is, to all of us, we bring ourselves to work.
Right.
If we have to pretend we're someone we're not, if those soft skills don't amplify, if it's not the right fit, there's no amount of anything that people aren't ultimately going to push it further and further away until they leave.
I don't think I ever woke up saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to go to the office today. like it's just, I don't want my staff to wake up thinking,
Right.
oh my gosh, I have to go to the office today.
Or to walk on eggshells.
Right.
Or to think a mistake is fatal. Few are. Very, very, very few are.
Right.
And it's not the end of the world, because guess what?
There's a lesson in those mistakes. So let's
And there's
figure that
another
out.
one right around the corner. Who said, I forget, Ann, and I should know, all our podcast guests I should know about looking around the corner. Was it Lauren Turnbull at HE&R, Hershey Entertainment Resorts? Anyway, it was all about knowing, sort of anticipating what's around the corner.
Oh yeah.
And that was huge to me. And I went, you know what I'm only sure of is another teaching moment, learning lesson.
Right.
We're none
she
of
said
us
it was
perfect.
unknowable. Yeah.
Unknowable,
and
but
being able to work in that, for all of us, work in that environment.
But it gave me comfort, because I don't have a terrifying fear, right? I don't work, and neither do you. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you can have that sort of attitude for your team, right? It's immediately, we're all getting through it together, and it's really going to be okay. We can't keep making the same mistake. That's an entirely different conversation, though. And that is what is so breathtakingly refreshing about you for me. You can sort of I can hand you my burden, which is part of this show, and go, you know what? I'm cleansed. I can leave going, okay, I'm going to fight, the next battle, just because of your spirit.
Well, that's the same way I feel too when I always say to girls, I need an Annie day.
You just said that, yeah. She said
And then
that
I
before
just
you
have
came.
energy for 2 months, and then I get my refill.
And then I keep her too long, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, because she always says, and it's. But that, I think, Ann, is, when I say savvy, spirited success stories, that's what we as women, right, don't need to talk about. We need to do more of it, and we need to find the time, and we need to pay it forward, and we need to be grateful for that. In our darkest hour, we go, you know what? I don't think I can do this. One more hour, one more day.
Yeah.
Well, you referred to that at our inaugural Grit and Gravitas reception, and which was at Fire and Grain at Hershey Lodge. Shout out to Hershey Entertainment Resorts.
Phenomenal.
That you can and I'm certainly old enough to know this is a fact. You can talk about helping others and helping women especially, or you can do it.
Right.
And what we've done is invest energy and time and heart and soul
resources
into making sure your daughter and Walker's future spouse and my daughter-in-law's all have a C1 to B1 model. So they can see, like, what does a woman in a male-dominated industry look like? They're going to look at you, Laurie. What does the head of a amazing media company look like? Okay, it's Annie Carnathan, In my industry, there's a lot of females in there. So it's a little bit differently, but there's not a lot of women business owners. Only 300,000 in
But it
Pennsylvania.
just makes it more difficult for you to compete.
Yeah.
Because you look and sound like everyone else, and that's table stakes at that point. And you're selling stories, you're selling partners, you're selling your team, you're saying they're wake up and life is a sales call. Yeah. Because it's influence.
That's true. That's a business vitamin. We do have, your requirement, Laurie. I should have warned you before we went live. Is
so
we don't want to warn anybody.
Shot of tequila wasn't it?
We need the business vitamin before our podcast is over. But, I just laughing. I just lost my train of thought. What I was going to say.
She'll do that. And I mean,
I know. I was going to
like
say what a business vitamin.
Of joy.
What did you just say? Because I was going to piggyback on that.
Well, it's essentially how you can talk about helping women. You can help women. And at the end of the day, to me, I got tired of talking about it. Like I want to, in a meaningful way, do whatever we can do. And I'm not sure that was your thought, because, man, you can't rely on me for that. You got you're way more organized, And so I think, for me with Laurie, right, to see what she puts into her team, which happens to be female. But I think I don't think if a man walked through the door and knocked her socks off for the job, that's who she's going to hire.
Right.
Absolutely.
She has a son too.
We all
so,
believe that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She's a great husband, really supportive
yes,
husband, great
yes.
son, right? So again, it's just about the difference in women competing and what that looks like. And so her business vitamin I can't wait for, right? Because too, Laurie, and it's just, what can someone get in 30 minutes that's one thing? Because we're all boiling the ocean every day, especially as women, and I will say that. So what can we do for women that's entertaining, that's fun? We clearly are having a great time here. For people like you that commit to it, what is it when you think of immediately what you can do to help your daughter, to help your team, to help a woman in business? That's what the business vitamin is. It's one thing to take away.
And we committed early on that that a 30-minute podcast would be a return on time. So for everyone listening, we wanted to your point, Annie, of what could you do after that first 30 minutes? Like, what could I maybe institute today at the office or in a conversation, or this weekend with friends? Who could I pick for a sponsor or an advocate or a role model? And
what life lesson, career lesson, Laurie, if you could say one thing that has been the most beneficial thing to you?
Is always listen to my gut. It's amazing how if you just listen to your gut feeling about people, about just hear it and know it and take confidence in yourself.
Do you feel that comes with age? I hate to say it like that, but just being more comfortable in your skin, like trusting your gut and trusting your intuition. Because I think the younger,
it's never failed me. I know that. So I think, and it does. It comes with age and being in the industry so long. But that's something we can teach I tell, and Haley's one of our team members. I always tell her, go with your gut. You know, when you can't decide, feel it. So that's one thing I think is important.
Good. What happens when young women don't trust it? What happens when it's easier to give the decision to Anne or to you or to me? Because there's no risk in not making a decision. And lots of people are decision averse. Right. Because there's risk with that.
An opportunity to, as to Laurie's point, show up.
Yeah.
If you're given that opportunity, and I say this to young people, go, run.
That's who we're talking to. They do have to do it.
That doesn't mean you're not going to fail.
Right.
And we all have to get comfortable. We have to fill up our confidence bank. Mm-hmm. And we have to get comfortable with, it's not going to be, I think Lauren says, we're not hitting a home run every day as much as I want to.
When you fail, that's your best life lesson. So you have to embrace it. I mean, and also you have to listen to what other people have to, listening is key, and not being afraid to try something new.
Yep.
As I've been doing this for 30 years, I always I sit back and I was like, I listen to what they have to say, and I'll step out of my comfort box. Mm-hmm. I'll be kicking and screaming, but you have to step out of it. And, some of my best successes were from listening to what other people had to say. And I thought my way was the right way, and, kind of.
But what made you let go? And how did you pivot to that turn where you went, what? I think I'm right, but yeah.
I have the perfect answer for that, because it was our first meeting, Annie, when I wanted to jump off the cliff and change our marketing strategy for one of our major events and not go with the typical print billboard. Yeah. And Annie was taking me in a new direction, and I was like, that's a scary direction to go to. But I knew I had a lifeline. So I was confident with the person I was working with.
Good.
So there was that, okay, I'm going to take this jump, but I felt confident, and my gut told me that this was the person I need to pair up with to jump off the cliff, because someone's going to pull that parachute.
Yeah. And what's extraordinary about that is, so I love meeting people. And you can't manufacture that. So, York Builders Association, we all need to do just a little bit of work to go, where am I going? Who are these people? What do they do? Even if you think there's no excuse not to have some talking points and be prepared. And I'll never forget this scene. Laurie walks in and happens all the time. I have a hard stop, right? I have 30 minutes, which to me is sort of double speak for, right? Salesman coming in, and I think, and an hour and 15 minutes later, she's still in that seat, riveted. Right, and I thought, okay, because for us, and whether we sort of say that or not, for us at this point and at this level, it's about our partners.
Yeah.
It's not about the zeros, it's about the heroes. It's about who's going to do something for me. How is my team going to be treated? We are phenomenal at what we do. And of course I think that. I think that we're the best at what we do, but who do we want to do that with? And who do we want to do that for? And what are we going to learn? And what are we going to teach? And what are we going to educate? And riveted by you. And I thought, I walked out thinking, I just laughed like, I don't know. And I thought, I felt 1,000% better. And I thought, I want to keep connecting with everyone in that room.
Great.
You know, and so right back at you, Laurie. And just like that, time's up. And I can't thank you enough. Okay. We always do it. And our editor, Colin's like, every time you have a guest, you go, we'll have you back because it's our show and we can. But, you know, we're respective of everyone's time as well. And you traveled to see us. But I can't thank you enough for you in my life, for what it's meant to our people learning and growing through business, and just to take the time to share your story.
Thank you.
And
It's been a pleasure.
to be continued. Thank you.
We've learned several business vitamins. Thank you for that, Laurie. And, you know, I think in the beginning you mentioned just show up. For all of us women, show up when you're invited. Jump right in there. Take your seat at the table. Use your voice. Find your voice. And for us, more women who have been in the workforce longer, just remember to create a culture that is welcoming and inviting and makes the younger, newer employees feel safe in trying things and being innovative.
As valued.
Yeah.
Laugh.
Yes, of course.
And use the decisions to grow, even if you fail forward.
Right.
And everyone has a voice.
All right. And just like that, we are at the end of our High Gear podcast. Laurie, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we're going to have her back. So have a great day, everyone.
No doubt. Take care.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.